My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise-canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Well, I say for just a little more work to come on. I've taken care of a few other things, but thought I'd get on just to explain a little something about that nativity in the thumbnail, and we'll tell you all a little story from years ago about how that was, and might even just let you all see me take a step or two into Joseph while I explain it, but would just like to tell you about that lady who I made it for, and I'd say there were just quite some stories about how, back in the early 2010s and teens and stuff, it was like I was always on there just kind of on Facebook just posting pictures of my work, really not intending to sell anything, but just to kind of show people what I could do, try to kind of get attention from people. But kind of happened that people were kind of perceiving at the time that I was wanting to sell things because I was posting them, and would especially want to do it at the busiest time of year, which was really the time when most people were shopping the most. And at that time in my life, I always thought that working in a school cafeteria around Thanksgiving and Christmas time was just kind of hard enough without having all the trouble of having to kind of make trips to the post office to mail things, or just having to meet people places to do it, and probably a time in my life when the house was not in order for people to be coming there to look at things and making purchases. So it kind of happened I'd have to meet them at Starbucks or whatever to do it. But there was a lady out in Nevada, she kind of purchased a certain Santa from me one year because she asked me to, and she saw it, and it was really nice of her to do that, and she kind of ordered it because she has an autistic daughter, and they have a special sensory needs Santa for her, and they wanted to give that Santa I made to the man who was Santa for their daughter. And it kind of happened that it caused me a lot of frustration that year just to try to do my work in the cafeteria even in the midst of that, and kind of had my poor manager just being all concerned about me and stuff. So for years I tried not to do it, but that lady, she was kind of wanting a nativity from me, and so for a few years I'd kind of get a little mad and blow off a little steam if I felt like people were kind of bothering me at the busiest time of year. So it kind of happened that I didn't continue to try to do that anymore after that. But when it came down to things, I was just making a lot of stuff, and there had been like a couple Josephs I made from walnut, a couple of Marys from cherry, a couple of little mangers of baby Jesus from mulberry, and had two nativities of the sort. I gave one nativity to a friend's mom that was made like that, and it kind of happened that, there was one year when I messaged this lady during the summertime, during June or July, something like that, and told her that, if I could kind of mail it to her before the busiest time of year, which would be stressful enough, I'd be willing to give it to her free of charge. And So I did. She was grateful for that, and so it kind of happened that I took a picture before I mailed it to her, but you know, that was just kind of, I'd say, how it worked out, because she was kind of getting to the point where things were kind of changing a little bit in her finances, where she couldn't afford to make as much sale as before, so, or make as much purchase. So it was kind of just the way a little thing like that worked out. And so that's this little story I'd like to share about that. And I'd say as we just get a little bit further about this, we're getting chips everywhere again, and we've got to get them off our clothes and into this pan. Sometime or another, I'm going to come back here in this corner and move all this tables and stuff out of the way, and come over here and vacuum up some of these wood chips that got into the floor here. But I'd say on an additional note that there's probably another thing or two we might kind of try to take care of a little bit here. And maybe even to that matter, I'd say just try to take a little measurement where we kind of go up about 3/8 of an inch here on the backs of these figures, and put in a little mark right about there, and then just kind of take on this little life of an adventure. And I say just make little things here and there where they kind of collide. And then I say that we're going to go about 3/4 of an inch over on these figures, and just kind of try to put in another little mark to the edge here, and kind of take it so it's going to be what we have in little figures to work with. And I say that it's just been a time when, you know, a lot there is to get used to, but we manage it well. I'd say we're going to go about a little 1/2 of an inch up and take care of this little matter here. Kind of like, I say, make the line so it's going to collide right in. I say that this is just a little bit of a 3/4 of an inch this way, or I'd say 1/2 of an inch rather, is what this line should be. So kind of take it from here. We've sort of, I'd say something isn't right here, and I'd say we're getting it just in a good enough little place. I say try to work it down, I tell y'all. And for one little moment, I say there's probably been a thing or two we hadn't gotten in here right, but we're trying to fix it the best we can. I say, and I'm telling you all that it's just a little matter we have taken concern, and oh, hopefully we're getting this in the right spots here, because I tell y'all, I'm just kind of at a time in my life where I'm not feeling well, so it's kind of hard to do things or keep you all updated much, and trying to be at a time where I'm trying to get things in the right shape. Probably say I got things a little crooked there, but I say that it's just a moment when I might try to make these videos kind of short if I can. And that was just one little story I had to share, because there was a step I did right there I wanted you all to see as well. It was a little thing we kind of do with the little marker and stuff, and oh well, I tell y'all that this is just kind of one of those things where we just kind of work through what all we have and do, and I'm kind of little tired on words right now. I say make the line just like that again, and this time around I'd say come off to a little bit of a different place and make the same line come right through the same little spot. And I'd say I'm sure we kind of got this equaled out a little bit as best as we can do it, because there's probably going to be an additional line here. We probably, I'd say, make it about the top of the head, where we go about a little half of an inch here and a half of an inch there. And so I say it's just kind of one little bit of a joyous mix right after another, and put things down to where we have a little heart in us to work our lives down the little branch we have. And so I say a little time and work shall make its way right to us. Perhaps I'd say go about an inch over here, put a line in there, take an inch over here, put a little line in there, and I say this kind of work is just kind of taking us to the point that we're in a little time of work and need, and like I'd say we probably got the measurements in a good enough way that we're kind of getting lines into what all we have. And I say just kind of good little ways we have. I say this is just an enormous amount of work to do for this kind of sculpture, and I say it's just like all you see in this video is just a little drawing of lines. But as we say, I'm kind of getting back in the hang of things with all the changes and taking place in my life. Just kind of have to do what we do to make our work just have a little special time and work of a way to do in us. And so I say, what's with all this music and background stuff, I say, like, oh, and just I tell y'all, in mumbling time, it's like just kind of got the work right in here. I'd say there's going to come a time we're going to come back on here, try to carve about these little extra lines we've made, and Then have little things like I've dealt with today with my medications and all. Just kind of had a little discrepancy with the doctor's office. Didn't realize they had already did the prescription to the pharmacy. So I called them kind of frantically, then had to call the pharmacy and found out they already had the prescription. So had to call the doctor's office again just to apologize for the discrepancy. Kind of have little issues here and there. Just kind of how things go. Hopefully by the end of this week, I'll be all used to my new diet and exercise routine and feel all back to normal again, because that's how it's been since I've been finished with work the past few days. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for watching. Keep in touch. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.